Per- Perfect. Okay. So good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today, we're going to have a webinar about VR learning and about online learning. And we have, like, I'm working from SAP, but I will introduce myself a little bit later as well. But we also have Erste Bank here, Stefanie and Warp VR, and we will host this meeting, the three of us. So from SAP side, I will just introduce you a little bit about the VR learning and the new online learning. Then Guido from Warp VR will tell you a little bit about why VR learning is so good and tell you about their customers and about their organization. So they are a partner of us. And then Stefanie will take over with from Erste Bank, as she will actually tell as a customer how it's been for them and what they like, why they chose for VARP and for SAP and what they did. And they have like a really nice, cool use case. So I'm very excited to share that with you. So let me first go to the introduction. Well, I already said it a little bit. So we have Guido in the room. He's the CGO and the co-founder of Warp VR. And we have Stefanie, and she's the learning and development specialist of Erste Bank. So can you all see my screen well? Just a note.
Yes.
Yes, excellent.
Yes, perfect. Perfect. So let me go to VR learning, and first a little bit starting about education. Sorry, I forgot something. If you have any questions, just put them in the chat. We will answer them to you directly or in the chat. And if we have some time, we will start with the Q&A at the end. So we also will share our details, our email addresses at the end again. So if you have any questions, just reach out to us, one of the three. So we will help you, of course, with all your questions. So talking about VR learning and education. So education is the base of the thriving society, and the transfer of knowledge has been top priority for civilization since like the very, very beginning. So people are constantly looking for ways to make knowledge transfer more easily, more quickly, and more effectively. And in the era of digital devices, we have an opportunity to enable better learning and technology. And so VR learning, virtual reality, seems to be the natural step for the evolution of education. So in the era of digital technologies, books are being turned into ebooks. Modern search engines make fact finding really easily. I talk to Google and Siri all the time, and I think a lot of you do as well. And just with a few clicks, you can discover answers to like almost all your questions. So while knowledge has become more easily available to more people, the current approach to education has two significant problems. It's based on the same old format, so fact retention. Teaching methods are focused on providing facts. However, having access to and consuming a lot of information isn't learning. So being informed isn't the same as being educated. And a lot of people have difficulties comprehending information. So too much information, they become like bored, disengaged, and usually not sure why they are learning about the topic. And I remember in one of my previous jobs, I started there, and the first 3 months were videos. So from 9 to 5 or 6, I was watching videos, and after 2 weeks, I remember I went to my manager and was like, I can't do this anymore. I need to be like learn it on the job, and as soon as I have a question, I will look at that video. So VR education can transform the way of educational content is delivered. So it works on the premise of creating a virtual world, like real or imagined, and always users like not only see it, but they can also interact with it. And I think if you look at this picture, so you see two architects, they are like building like a new city from scratch, and they can actually see, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, but you are the only one who can let people in the meeting because you are the organizer. So can you make me the host, or can you please let people in? Sorry for that.
Yes, of course, no problem. I will just let me go. Yeah, that's not the thing we want.
Has to make Shana the host so she can do it. Yeah.
Sorry, I just made Shana host.
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. Okay. I hope. Are there a lot of people waiting? Okay. I'll just continue. But so we see the architects at the back, and we see that they're building a virtual city. So I know that, you know, when you have everything in your mind, like how will it actually look, you know, in real life. And my colleagues know I've been moving for the last 2 weeks, like a longer period, because like I'm reconstructing my house, and with COVID, I'm based in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, and everything's closed. Only the supermarkets are open. And I can't even buy a screw. I have to buy everything online. So designing my place, it was a nightmare because I didn't know how big the couch was, the colors, and sorry, can everyone go on mute? Because otherwise I have an echo. And like with virtual reality, that would actually give me a tremendous help to see the place, because if you don't live in the place, it's really difficult to imagine. Also, you know, you see this picture of like an actual surgeon that is like training on the job with virtual reality. So you see that he's doing an operation on a leg. And to be honest, I'd rather have them like learning it like that before they start, like, you know, like you coming into the operation and it's their first time. So they actually can now say, like, create a world for surgeons as well, but of course for many other people as well, and many other branches and industry, where they can actually be in that world, but also interact with it. So that's amazing. So being immersed is what you learn. Learning motivates you to fully understand it. It will require less cognitive load to process the information. And here are just a few things that make virtual reality in education so powerful. So first, you've seen it already with the picture, a better sense of place. So imagine with people that are onboarding in your environment, and now like working from home and don't really know like what your company is doing or how their workplace will maybe look when they can go back to work. And the scale learning experience. So you see as well with, you know, like this technology that you can actually be, for example, in a science lab or in the operational like room and say like, okay, what is it that it's like around me? What kind of people are there and what can I learn? So really like practical experience. And learn by doing. And I'm like a really pro on learn by doing. I really learn much better if I'm just starting work and like asking questions or videos besides that. So it's a well-known fact that people learn best by doing. However, like you inspect modern education, you'll see how little like learning actually happens by doing. So students, but also employees are focused on, you know, reading instructions, looking at videos, and rather than, you know, actually using them in practice. So I can go on and on about this topic because I'm really like passionate about it. But I first would like to show you a little bit more about what SAP does for their online learners and what why we help our customers. And where I first would like to start within SuccessFactors, so within the HR world, is that we work with different modules. And our modules provide our customers to have the best, do the best things for their employees and for their HR departments. So for example, of recruiting, it makes it very easy to recruit people very quickly and have the best people on their spots, like in a really efficient time. Onboarding, we have our pre-boarding, so people are actually, having their learning with their pre-boarding as well, and also on their onboarding. Of course, learning, where I will dive a little bit deeper into, but we have all these different modules and on our core HR. So what makes SAP very special is that you don't have to buy the whole platform. We're going to look together with your company to see, okay, what do you really need right now? What's your strategy for the future, and where can we help you? So it's a modular approach. So if we dive a little bit deeper into our SAP SuccessFactors learning, we are a platform that doesn't provide content, but we are a platform that makes you able to get your content to your employees. So we work together like our partners Warp, that's in our call today, but also with Skillsoft. We have like a really collaboration, platform where people can talk with each other. So to not only push learning to your employees, but also let them see what they actually can, develop to in different roles. Or maybe for their role, they can have like really cool videos which their managers or colleagues can share with them. And it's all, of course, like also available on mobile and on your iPad, and you can have like analytics to see which content actually works for you and which content not. So coming back to that innovative way of learning, so we go to very basic ways, like, for example, a Word document that you can upload into your system. But we can also have like online courses, you can have online seminars or webinars, like what we're doing now, and your PowerPoint. So it really is easy to collect all your content and provide it to your customers or to your employees in the best way. So here you see, for example, that, can everyone go on mute, please? Because otherwise it's like I hear some back noises. So here you see that it's also, pushing content to your employees. So we don't want to have HR as the person that says, okay, you need to do this and this and this. We really would like to have that community where people start learning and sharing their knowledge with each other. And the system also starts learning from the people that actually use the system. So it starts to actually recommend the things that they are maybe looking for future roles, or other people within their teams are looking for different learnings. And the thing that, like, what I love about learning is that it comes back in almost in every cycle. So from the moment that people start pre-boarding, you can already start sharing your learnings. But also even when they go, because you as HR want to learn, why are people actually leaving my company? It's really good to know that what are you do, maybe you can improve something, or something is not working, that why are employees leaving your company. But also you can, for example, link it to your goals. You can fill your competency gaps. So if you have like some gaps in your role and the way your manager and you think you develop yourself. And it decreases, of course, the time for readiness. And that's also coming back to that VR story. It's like it decreases the time tremendously. And Guido will also tell you a little bit about the figures and the numbers, what came out of research. So Guido, if you're ready, I would like to pass it on to you.
Thank you, Maxime. Good morning.
Thank you.
Good day, everybody. Thank you for joining. And happy to tell you a little bit about Warp VR. My name is Guido Hamhorst. I'm one of the co-founders of Warp VR. We are a Delft-based startup, and for the past 4 years, we've been helping smaller, larger size companies tackling the challenge of training people in situations anytime, anywhere. And we have seen some great results in relation to retention, engagement, but also cost saving. and also the ease of use of the platform and the management of the VR courses have made our customers into fans, I may say, and therefore I'm really proud that we're here today also with SAP and Erste Bank and Steffi to show you what we're doing. So let's dive, Maximo, you already told us a little bit about kind of the challenges and why use VR. So to summarize maybe a little bit, 3 things. We can talk about impact. So the challenges businesses have is about impact. How do you transfer training into behavior and knowledge into behavior? How do you connect theory and practice? And especially nowadays, where more and more is going online, where it's a challenge to make that engaging and to connect theory and practice, real situations. Another challenge is scale. So how do you train large groups of people? That's always interesting when it happens. All right, so when you talk about scale, so how do you train large groups of people? How do you embed training at scale? How do you go about with cost and resources? Because real life training is costly and takes a lot of time and effort. But also, how do you deal with if you're a global company or you have multiple facilities across a country or across a continent or the globe? How do you go about taking those contexts, those maybe specific contexts into account, dangerous situations? So those are all elements which make training and learning a challenge for companies. But also there's also the thing about flexibility. So in this fast changing world, you want to be kind of agile in your content creation. You want to be able to edit it quickly and easily. You want to have more control and maybe even do it yourself. You want to have short time to market because if you want to, or if you have to wait 6 months, it's past. So how do you go about? And that, of course, ties into what Maxime also referred at, kind of learning in the flow of business. Because if you have an operational business, like a hospital or a factory or an airline or, well, oil and gas, you name it, it's really difficult to train on the job, to train situational, especially at scale. So when you take these challenges, you also have, of course, solutions. So next slide, please, Maxime. And the solutions we listed here, we know. Those are kind of the things we are familiar with. E-learning, all types of ways of training. And of course, those are around because they have their positives, but they also have their downsides. For example, e-learning, the downside is it's not always engaging. And sometimes it's difficult for people to tie theory into practice. A classroom, on the other hand, is more one-on-one, but that makes it very time intensive. Instructor-led can be very good because then you have expert knowledge, but again, you're bound by time and place when that instructor is actually present. And the same goes for on-the-job training, which is really good and really impactful, but it's not always feasible because sometimes it's dangerous and it is totally not scalable. So what if we can take all the positives and turn those downsides into upsides? And we think VR has a real chance here to make that happen. So next slide, please. Because when you tackle those challenges, as we said, okay, so we have basically 3 things we think is important in learning and training. So that's storytelling, putting people in real stories and real situations, where they can act themselves. Like maybe if you remember kind of the choose your own adventure stories. The other part is scalability. We want to be able to train as easy 8 people as it is to train 8,000 people. And the third part is the ease of use, making it easy for creators to create content, but also for users to consume. And that also ties into, of course, SAP and SuccessFactors, which I will mention in a while. So next slide, please. Oh no, previous, because you already, sorry, previous, please. So we use the basis of 360 video. So it's real people, real emotion, real context, real situations, and we make that interactive. So then it becomes really learning by doing, scenario-based, stories. You can be the hero, and it's really based on the notion that we are human and we learn by making mistakes, by failing, by falling, but also by standing up again. And continue and learning from those mistakes. So let me share with you a little example of how that looks like. So this is the context of you are a customer, you're a store manager, you're in a telecom store, and how do we train you on customer service?
How BT retail staff gains confidence in handling customers. In this VR training scenario, you are a sales employee in a telecom store. A customer walks in. She looks agitated, and it's up to you to help her out. But how? What is the right way? And how do you handle customer complaints?
Thank you. Yes, I'm in a real rush. Please, can you help me quickly? Taken £500 more off me than you said you would. I want an immediate refund. You put me in my overdraft.
By playing this interactive virtual reality training, retail staff is more confident in interacting with customers. They are taught how to tackle customer questions, which translates to improved customer satisfaction and sales. This VR solution enables British Telecom to train not only more often, but also at those moments that works best for the stores. Staff can be trained before the store opens, in off-peak hours, or after it closes. Be confident, learn differently. How BT retail staff.
Next one.
Yes. Come on. Wait, sorry. Yep. Go on.
So why should we care? Because we might say, okay, so we can tackle the challenges. We can maybe also do it another way. Then of course we turn to research. And this is just an example of a PwC research, which is often used. So you probably are familiar with it. But it shows the potential. It shows that it really has an impact. It shows that it really can bring confidence to people who are actually who are in that situation before they're actually in that situation. We did a research ourselves also together with the Amsterdam Medical Center, where we saw it was about a CPR training, where we saw more than 40% increase in remembering the right procedure, which of course is essential also in that type of situation. But it also is in comparison with kind of current e-learning and the current setup. More research is of course needed, but we also are seeing kind of the research or smaller research, as you will, or surveys within customers. When we do pilots, when we see the reactions, when we hear the stories they mention. And that's also something Steffi will later on refer to in the pilot we did with Erste Bank. So next slide, please. So putting people in situations where they can learn by doing can basically happen anywhere. And this is just an example to show you a little bit about the diversity. Actually also about diversity. So diversity and inclusion can be a topic, anti-bias situations, but also onboarding. Maxima talked about her 2 weeks of video. You can use this to make this a more blended approach. And you can actually use this for Maxime to pay a visit to the SAP office in the States to see how it's there. And maybe even meet colleagues or meet the management team. At the same time, health and safety, targeting behavior and awareness. Safety training is often trained now in e-learning kind of with pictures and kind of static in a way, but it's more important to train it in real life, in real situations where you have chaos, where you have a manager breathing down your neck, and you still have to be safety aware. And at the same time, also technical training, for example, incorporating human factors. So just to give you kind of the lay of the land. All right, so let me speed up a little bit, just to kind of share, next slide, please, Maxime, to share with you how can you start. Because hopefully you're enthusiastic and interested, and then the question is, how do you start? So basically we have a menu. First part is basically off the shelf. We have a growing library of off-the-shelf, ready-to-go content on a variety of topics. So we have leadership skills, dealing with resistance, how do you delegate, customer interactions, those types of skills you can actually train in real-life situations now off the shelf. You can start today. But also for the pharma, we have good manufacturing procedures. We did COVID training in the healthcare. All training which can be used by other organizations. And at the same time, or along the way, you can start creating your own content where you say, no, but I have something which is very specific. We can enable and support you in creating that scenarios or those scenarios yourself. And you can do it all yourself, or you can call in the help of partners. We have a growing global network of partners we call Warp Experts, who can help you in the process of creating your own content. That depends on what suits your context. All right, next slide, please. That menu is basically supported by our technology. We created Warp Studio, which is a platform where you can create scenarios really easily. You don't need any special skills. It's drag and drop. Create your own story. Make it interactive. Collaborate with others in creating that story or learning experience based on your learning goals. So that's where we start. What is the goal? What should they do? What are the consequences they should experience? And that's tied into basically story and storyboarding. After the filming, and that's also the workflow we support, after the filming, basically you're ready to provide it to your users. So that's about distribution, and you can use it basically on any mobile device. So yes, of course, you can play it in VR, which is kind of the holy grail and the most immersive experience. But if you don't have that available, or not yet, you can have also the experience on your mobile phone, either 2D or in the kind of the universal cardboard headsets. You can play it on your tablet, wherever you want. And the third part I think is also important, and in growing importance, is the analytics part. It's a digital environment where people can actually interact, and all those choices are sent back to the platform. And then, of course, we get to the SAP integration or learning management integration, where we say, okay, VR, yes, interesting, but it's almost always part of something broader, something bigger, and the blended approach. So in order to embed it in your organization, you can make VR part of your SAP system, your learning management system. So it sits in the LMS. Then you launch the specific scenario, which is part of your learning path. You play it, and then the data is pushed back into the learning management system, and you can continue your learning path. So without further ado, I'm really happy that Steffi is aboard and will share you all about how Erste Bank is using this.
Yes. Hi guys, thank you, Guido, for this nice introduction. I just saw the question in the chat if the scenario is an item. I will come to that point, but yes is the short answer. So I'm happy to be part of this webinar and to show you a bit our pilot case we did together with Warp. I prepared a bit the journey we did so far, from where we started actually back then when we thought about VR as a learning format for the first time. And I will show you a bit what were also the pain points and the challenges when implementing it. And also I want to show you like the end-to-end process together with the LMS, which is in this context with SAP, a crucial thing, I think. So we started back then in 2018 with that topic. And for those of you who don't know Erste Bank, we are a CEE banking group with its headquarters in Vienna, located in 7 countries, 16 million customers, 47,000 employees. So a lot of people to train. Whereas I have to say, we as a learning and development team located in Vienna, we are dealing actually with the people in Austria. So there is the Erste Bank and also the so-called Sparkassen sector. So VR is a topic, and Maxi and also Guido already touched it, which is super scalable. So a bit looking more into the future, this is definitely a learning format which is also scalable throughout our group. When I think of that as a learning specialist. So Erste has in its strategy a strong focus on innovation and digitalization topics, and also we as L&D team, we're always thinking about new formats, trying out new things, and we got to know the guys from Warp in 2018, and we said, well, we should try out that, because back then we did a bit of research, and actually there was no other company dealing with VR and learning in that combination. So this is not like, I mean, you all know this coming strongly from the gaming sector, but bringing it really together with learning is like, there are not so many out there. So this was really interesting for us to try out, because also Maxi already said it in the beginning, learning just evolves and develops and gets different. So you don't tackle everything with a checklist or with the e-learning. I mean, there are pros and cons. You already said it before, Guido, but yeah, there are lots of benefits when it comes to that, using VR as a learning format. So we said, okay, let's try out something together. And of course, we had our learning management system, which is a SAP SuccessFactors solution. Basically, we call it AMOS. We have it in place in several years. And we knew, okay, when we want to try out something, at the end of the day, it needs to fit there, because otherwise it's not really, it's useless for us. So, and back then we had the case with our bank robbery training, because that was handled very differently in former times. We had a colleague, she was the trainer for the topic. So there was a bank robbery awareness training, and she basically went from branch to branch throughout the year, holding workshops, bringing together all the people from one branch, which is quite tricky due to part-time, sickness, holidays, and stuff like that. And still, if you have all people together, you only can bring a few of them in a role play. So you don't really bring all of them in the situation in this and to train this awareness. So this was always super resource intense, and still you don't get all people in the situation. So we said, okay, this lady back then, she would go to retirement. And we said, okay, let's try out it with that topic. And so we went for the pilot. There is a security question. I will come to that later. So Maxi, would you be so kind and go to the next slide? So we decided to go for the pilot together, and we had great help from the guys from Warp. We co-created this content, this scenario together. So Guido showed it already a bit. In the Warp Studio, you have the possibility to create the flow and the storyline. Yeah, you create the scenes and connect them. Yeah, we did that together. They did a great job, and I really appreciate their experience there, because it's the tool is super easy. That's true, but I really we are now in the middle of creating the next scenarios, and I really appreciate your experience, because it's content-wise. It's differently to do a e-learning or a checklist or a whatever paper or a workshop. You really want to challenge people, and you really want to also trick them a bit. So it should be tricky to do that scenario. Otherwise, you don't really learn. So that your experience is really, really great when it comes to that. So we finished our bank robbery scenario. We piloted with about 50 branch people, and the feedback was amazing, really. So and still we get that feedback, that it's super easy, it's rememberable, it sticks to your mind. You have here some quotes from colleagues. It's a fantastic modern training method. You get the feeling the situation is real. You get a good orientation. So it's like really, it feels real. You have as core advantages that you bring people in the situation. It's super scalable, and at the same time you don't need a longer workshop, but people only it lasts like 10 or 15 minutes. So it's really, from a time perspective, it's really super great. And there was one, and I think this is the best thing to sell that, if you want to put it like that. I didn't put it because it wasn't a quote, but one of those colleagues, she was part of the pilot, and she told me after the pilot, she had 2 weeks after she did the pilot training, she had a bank robbery case in the branch, and she said she could give better advice to the police due to the training she did, because she could remember better what to do and how to behave. And so this really works. It really sticks better to your mind. It stays in your mind, and you're in the situation, and it's super fun. I really love that. I love that story, because it just shows how quality-wise how good that thing works. So let's go to the next slide. We had somehow we could tick the box that the format is fine, and we knew, okay, we want to go on with that, but we knew when we want to implement it in a broader style, we had to connect it to our processes, so more or less to our learning management system. And also we had some homework when it comes to the security topics internally. I'm talking now about every time you're implementing a new solution in Erste, you have to go through a really intense security process. Guido is now gladly smiling, because we really go on their nerves still, because it's about data. Actually, at the end of the day, you want to make sure that nothing is going out there. So there is this intense security process. It's like a bloody way it was. We are almost finished with that. We also did a pen test. So you stress test your systems to see if there are what are the pain points, what do you need to take care of. GDPR is a topic, data protection overall, and all that stuff. But before we went into all that, we said, hey guys, it's super cool, but we need a connection to our LMS, to our SuccessFactors system. Otherwise, we can't use it, because we have to train 1,000 people on bank robbery. We need to properly spread it and track who did it. And Warp built up this bridge for us, which was not there before. And this was really amazing, because this thing is golden. I will show you in a minute how it works, because it's really super easy. So maybe we can already step to the next slide, Maxi. Thank you. So we are now going into I want to show you like the end-to-end process, how our users are playing, where they start and where the whole process ends. So this first slide shows the admin part. So this is what we do on our sites as L&D. On the left-hand side, you see here the point where the scenario is finished. So what Guido showed before on his slide, you build this scenario and the different ways. I'm finishing the process and coming to the questions later on, okay? So and once this scenario is finished, you can download it here in the Warp Studio as a SCORM package. You take the SCORM package, and then on the right hand side, you see here, this is our LMS. You put this into the particular item. So we have an item called virtual reality scenario bank robbery. And on the bottom line, you see here the SCORM package you put there. We also put there like tutorial material to guide the people through the process, which is actually, we will see it on the next slide, Maxi, please, which is actually not necessary, because what Warp built, this bridge they built is like so super explained that people don't really need the tutorial. But first, this is now showing the user part. So when we as L&D, we spread the item then to the learning parts of the respective people, and then they see here on the left-hand side, okay, this is my learning plan. I have to do this virtual reality scenario training. And they start the training, they start the item, and then this Warp launcher opens up. So this is basically this bridge Warp built for us. And here you can decide, and this is really leading through the process. So you select how you want to play it. Do you play it via your smartphone or a tablet, or do you play it with a standalone headset with an Oculus Go or something like that? And then you also get the advice. So please, if you played with your smartphone or also with the Oculus, download the app, the Warp VR app, and then you create with this Warp launcher a 6-digit code. This is your personal code. And with that, and then we can go to the next slide, please. You open up on your, let's say, smartphone, the Warp VR app, and you enter your 6-digit code. And with this bridge, the Warp app knows that Stefanie is just playing the training scenario. Then you start it there, and this was such a crucial thing for us, okay, just to have this automatically done. So you see here, you enter your code, and then you start the scenario. We can go to the next slide, please, Maxi. Thank you. And then you see here a bit on the left-hand side how a scenario looks like. So it's basically a 360 degrees video from our branch. And we also, you see here our policeman avatar. He is giving instructions throughout the scenario. Unfortunately, I can't show you more from it, as it is a bit sensitive how our people should behave when it comes to a bank robbery case. But maybe to stay, I don't want to use too much time to also come to your questions, but to stay a bit with the scenario and how we build it up, as it was our pilot. And as it is very sensitive content, you don't want to, so for our business area, for the security area, and for the experts on that, it was really important for them to train the branch people in the right way. So we didn't build it up very tricky, as I said before. What is actually a super big benefit of that scenario. With the new scenarios, we will do that. But for the bank robbery, it was important for us to train the people in the right way and not to show them too much left and right, not to show any different behavior. We really want to go the red line and only that. This is why it is not so tricky, let's put it like that. And we also don't send a score. It's about safety, and then it's about giving people a feeling that in a bank robbery case, they have just a good instrument with them doing that training. So this is maybe a bit to the content side. So, and once you played it through, it's about 10 to 15 minutes. You return back to this Warp launcher. So, and there you see you finished playing. And then you can send the results to Amos, and then it goes back in your learning history. This is the last screenshot you see here. So, and this end-to-end process was really, this was a big work and effort from your side, Guido, from Warp side, and this is just super great to have that in place. So, maybe to go to the next slide, and show you a bit. I said now people play it now at their smartphones. They play it actually now in 2D mode because we can't use our headsets due to Corona. So we had a super great plan, but then Corona came. So this is like true for most things in life, I think. But basically, we are super flexible when it comes to the process. So you can start at the LMS with your desktop version. Maxi showed before, you can also start from your LMS mobile version and stay on the mobile and use the Warp VR app and here, or you switch to a standalone headset. So you're super flexible when it comes to devices as well. And maybe just to round our journey up, let's go to the last slide. So what we are dealing now with, we have let's say the end-to-end process in place. We took care of all the security stuff and the framework stuff. And now we're in the middle of dealing with the next scenarios. It's really cool. We are now we're staying in the retail area. We are now dealing with a scenario about branch choreography. So how do the different people in the branch work together and all those processes there? It's really cool. We're in the middle of creating that content. And I think, and I think also in the chat, it's already a bit about that, advantages of different learning formats. So I think for me, it's super crucial to choose the right topics to start off with that, to gain a real benefit for the people. And also not everything is like done with VR. So I see it as a combination. It's super added value, but some things still you need a checklist for, or you need a face-to-face training for. But like the variety of different formats is just the real cool thing. So this is where my slides end. So maybe we can step now into the
thank you so much, Steffi. Thank you so much, and Guido as well. Like the stories are really good, and I really like it. But I was hosting, so I couldn't really look at the chat. Are there any things that came up, like that we for Steffi, for Guido, for me? Guido, I know that you have been looking at it, and you've been answering a lot.
Some, yeah. Maybe a question from Paul, I think, is Erste, I think the question is using Warp. Maybe Stefanie, I think it's for you, but Erste is using Warp for just 360 interactive online learning, using special headsets, or do you also plan to look at live sessions in 3D VR environments where multiple users interact in the VR world?
Not so far. So at the moment, but let's see. It's sound of future. So at the moment, we are thinking of 360 videos, like the bank robbery training is. We have now on our agenda 4 new topics, and I also have like the feeling that the more experience we gain with the 360 videos, I think the quicker we get with the content creation. Also, as I said before, like I think what is a really crucial point is the experience the Warp guys have on making it challenging. So this is what we have as a challenge for the format now. But let's see what the future brings. I think there are super opportunities to have a look at.
Yeah, so maybe tying, I think that's also tying into, well, maybe that's just, I saw another one, but let's just continue. So maybe is it possible for participants to play a scenario again? Yes, definitely.
Definitely, yes.
And
so maybe for,
sorry.
Maybe content-wise, Maxi said it in the beginning, so learning should be rather user-driven and not so much HR says what you should do. With the bank robbery topic, we have something that is like, it's a mandatory training. So we have, and as a bank, maybe you can imagine, we have lots of regulatory and compliance stuff people need to do. So this is not what they are really happy about. But with VR, we can make it like more attractive. And this is why people are asking for doing this bank robbery training again. and again, and therefore it's open in our catalog. So yeah, definitely people can and should do it again and again, of course. So can you have a scenario for multiplayers? Is maybe something for you, Guido?
Yeah. Well, as it is, no. So it's a very personal learning experience. So it's also about kind of.
Sorry, can everyone go on mute because I hear some music? It's not.
It's actually
music.
That's good. Multiplace. So as it is, it's more individual experience, but we have it on our roadmap to have it also more collaborative experience, where you're in a situation with a group. So it will be in the future, but at the same time, 360 video, it's also more challenging with multiplayers. But that's definitely something we're looking at.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I touched the question before. So if LMS holds only the item completed record, only what additional analytics from the session do you record and view on the Warp platform? So as we as bank have lots of internal, so our GDPR head is taking care. So it's really important that the data are anonymized. So this was a big thing in the security process. But actually, it's not necessary for me to know that Guido or Maxi or Stefanie did the training in this and that way. But on a meta level, it's and for further developing of the content, it's necessary and good to know, and this is what you can track in the Warp Studio. Did people always behave like that? And this would be the right answer. So do I train in a wrong way? Or what does the data show to me? So this is all the behavior data and the decision data is there, but we have it only pseudonymized. We don't really need the name for that. No. So the LMS gets only back the done or not done information, and the Warp Studio keeps all the analytics. Let's put it like that. Yeah. And I can also take this one. So how do you overcome clients that worry about the concern of hardware costs? So maybe this is something rather for you, but I can also touch it because it's a topic for us, of course. The logistics and bringing all those slice in, we were strongly focusing on those slice in headsets, because it's somewhere cost-wise, it's somewhere in the middle, and the quality is better than with only cardboards. And yeah, and still it was like a middle option that worked pretty well for us. But still, at the moment with Corona, nobody would take it into his face after the colleague just having it in the face. So it's actually not an option for now. Also, that we are looking now into having those foldables. And it actually, I just learned from Thijs, so from your colleague, that it's actually content-wise better to do it in 2D and not to having those ones. So we know, and this is what we get also as a feedback, that of course Oculus is quality-wise better, but at the same time, people also need to be a bit trained on the Oculus. It's not that easy like it is. They can handle the process better with only the 2D, and the feedback is still very good. So this is what we experience. But Guido, I give it also to you. You have more experience in that.
I think you're right. So the experience varies. So some people have a good experience also with the universal headset and a mobile phone, but it has a lot of variables. And so how good is the headset, the universal headset? How well are the lenses working? What is your own mobile phone? So what is kind of the resolution and the speed? So there are a lot of variables which are sometimes hard to manage from a skill perspective. But from a mobile phone, so when people consume it from a mobile phone, they have the choice. So you can try it out, and you can either go to 2D or VR. And even that market is still developing. So let's see where it takes us. But I think the best way is also to just try and test it, pilot it, see how your cohort of people react to it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm not sure. I wanted to add, or at least put one thing in the chat. So for whomever is interested in playing demos, also on their mobile phone, I will put in a link, and you can play a couple of demos yourself. So at least you can experience their different variety. So let's then at least you can also play around with that. And with that, I think I will turn it over to Maxime.
Yeah, thank you so much. So if you still have any questions left, then please let us know. You have our contact details. So, you can email us. We're also like on LinkedIn, so please contact us or find us on LinkedIn, and we're happy to share your information. You will get an email with the recording after, this session. It will be sent out. And thank you again so much for being here. Loved having you guys here. And let's go to the future of learning. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Okay, so I think John and Emily, I think you're on mute, and maybe you just left your computer. But I will, if you have some questions, please unmute yourself, and otherwise, I will close it for now. For Steffi and Guido, I think I will just send you a quick link, just to have a chat. And Shana, if you want to be there, like that's perfect. Maybe you can share some information about sharing the video.
All right.
Okay, so see you in a moment.
Yes.
Bye bye.